Welcome back, everyone. This week we're taking another look at the 2021 Ford Bronco. While we're anxiously awaiting more information from Ford about options and pricing on the Bronco, we'll have to tide ourselves over with dribs and drabs of information that leak out online. Admittedly, I am not a hardcore off-roader by any means, and most of the rough terrain that I've covered personally has been on logging roads or backcountry roads in national parks, most of which probably could have been covered by a Subaru Forester or a comparable vehicle. However, if I end up buying a Bronco, it will most likely be used for similar purposes, camping and just getting out to remote areas. That said, I really enjoy watching rock crawling and dune running videos, even if I'm not as knowledgeable about the intricacies of what's happening. Usually in these videos, I like to provide some information about a vehicle and have you tell me what you like, don't like, etc. However, this time we're going to do things a bit differently. Since I'm not an expert on off-road pursuits, and I know I probably have a number of viewers who are, I'd like to take a look at these off-road Bronco videos that came out earlier this week and kind of break them down and ask some questions that I have. Then I'd like for you to weigh in and tell me what your thoughts are. Sounds good? Okay, let's take a look at some of this footage.
Okay, so here's our first video, and I should mention that all of these videos are from Broncos6g.com. If you haven't been out there, definitely go out there and check it out. It's a great forum and a great resource for Bronco content. These videos were all provided by a user named Volkswagen. The first Bronco that we're looking at here is the Badlands trim, and it also has the Sasquatch package added. Slowing this clip down a bit, is this just driver error? Should the driver have just given a little more right foot on the way up? Or is there something with the front suspension that is not allowing the tires to make proper contact with the rocks? Okay, so here we see that same Badlands trim Bronco, and it appears to be making another attempt up that same obstacle that we just saw. It looks like it chooses the same line, and unfortunately it looks like it ends up with the same result here. It kind of spins out in the same spot. It doesn't appear to be making much traction. So as this Bronco backs up and readies for another attempt at that same obstacle, I guess I'm just wondering if you saw anything on that last attempt that looked out of place or something that could have been changed to get over that obstacle. To me, it looked like the line was good. It actually looks like the best line through this obstacle, but I'm just curious if somebody else agrees or disagrees with that thought. So here we're getting ready for attempt number 3 at this same obstacle. It looked to me like the first 2 times the line was pretty good. This third time, I'm not quite sure what the driver was trying to do here. I mean, maybe this is a valid line, I don't know. I'm sure it's doable, but it just looks trickier than the first 2 times that he tried. I had my doubts when I saw the driver first try this line. It's pretty impressive actually at the ease which the Broncos seem to make it up onto these rocks. But you can definitely tell that the rocks are slippery and probably a little bit dusty here. And I think that's really the downfall. I think maybe tire pressure was maybe a little too high and just slid off of those rocks because they're a little too slippery. I have seen some other comments online that maybe even just taking a broom and sweeping these rocks off beforehand might have actually kept this Bronco up there and kept it from sliding down further. So as we watch this clip again in slow motion, you can see as the passenger side tire makes it up onto the rock, the driver's side tire appears to be just hanging in midair. I really don't think that's even something a solid front axle would correct. I still don't think you're going to get that much more articulation out of it. I think it's probably important to note here that these are Ford engineers that are driving these things, and these aren't actually off-road professionals, so I'm guessing the lines that they chose and the way that they're driving is probably similar to an average consumer. So in this clip, we're looking at what I believe is a different angle of the same obstacle featured in the previous clips. This is also a Badlands trim Bronco, but it doesn't have the Sasquatch package, but it does have the optional 33-inch tires and a manual transmission. Comparing this with the previous clips, I actually almost wonder if the 33-inch tires are an advantage over the 35s. I think the 35s are great, but I almost wonder if they need an extra couple inches of lift. It would also be nice to know what the axle ratios and some of the other specs on these are. At any rate, this Bronco looks like it made short work of that same obstacle. It's nice to know that in stock form, these things are still really capable. I'm guessing that 95% of consumers aren't going to put it through this type of abuse. So it is worth noting that all 3 of the Broncos that Ford was testing ended up making it all the way through the Rubicon Trail, which is quite impressive for Broncos in their stock form. Take a look at the damage some of these things sustained though, it's pretty crazy. The Ford engineers certainly did not take it easy on these things, but it's good to know that they held up to the abuse and made it through the entire trail.
Okay, so what do you think? Will the Bronco be a capable off-roader on sand, on rocks? What do you think? Will it suit your use case? I'll weigh in by saying I'm not sure this footage provides us with enough information to make a judgment at this point in time. I think some conclusions can probably be drawn about the various lines the driver could have taken, but I also think it's important to remember that these were Ford engineers driving these things, and we don't know what their mission was. Did Ford send them out to see how the Bronco would perform in stock form, as an average driver would do, with no regards for airing down the tires or taking the best line, for example? Did Ford tell these guys to try to break everything they could? Maybe that was their mission, to see if there were any component failure points or weak links. I'm really interested in what your thoughts are and any insight that you could provide. I'd encourage everyone to chime in with their opinions in the comments section below. I'd also encourage less experienced off-roaders, like me, to ask questions below, and hopefully someone more knowledgeable can provide their opinion or further information. I think it'd be really cool if we could all learn something as a community. Okay, so that's it. I'd once again like to thank everyone so much for watching and say that it would be totally rad if you could hit the thumbs up button below or even click the subscribe button if you'd really want to make my day. And don't hesitate to suggest any future Bronco or other topics that you'd like to see covered. I'm always looking for new content ideas. And a very special thanks to everyone who decides to comment below and just participate in the discussion and help everybody learn something today. And as always, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.